Ever try a retirement calculator that looked impressive until you started building a real plan and then things got messy? So that's what pushed me to compare Boldin and Pralana head to head. I wanted to find out which one actually helps you grow wealth, not just estimate it. And the results, honestly surprising. What I discovered could quietly change how you approach your entire retirement plan. Let me show you. So when comparing two retirement tools like Boldin and Pralana, I always start by digging into the reviews. Not the ones plastered on the homepage, but the real stuff. And more often than not, the most honest feedback comes from the negative reviews. Now, I came across one user of Boldin. He mentioned that it takes a good chunk of time to really understand the software, especially with multiple scenarios to manage. He found it a bit confusing that you have to update all scenarios manually when you make a change. And honestly, I've been there. I had 3 different retirement paths built out in Boldin, and yeah, it took some time. But that's also the trade-off you make when you want precision. You can't just slap in the numbers and expect some magic, right? The fact that Boldin lets you craft different what-if plans is a huge plus, and from what I've seen, this kind of complexity is part of the reason the tool is so powerful. And on the flip side, a lot of users find Boldin very helpful in their planning. One guy said that just a couple of weeks with Boldin totally changed the way he looked at retirement. It took him some effort to get the hang of it, but once he did, he discovered he could retire at 57. That's not small, that's a complete mindset shift. Another user pointed out how NewRetirement, or Boldin as it's called now, balances being intuitive with being comprehensive. So with taxes, Roth conversions, RMDs, Monte Carlo simulations, all there, but in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. He did say he uses personal capital for a better view of net worth and spending, but when it comes to actual retirement projections, Boldin won him over. And there's another review that hit home for me. A guy mentioned upgrading to PlannerPlus. He said the free version got him close, but he wanted those razor-sharp, precise answers and information, especially with pre-tax and post-tax breakdowns and future cost inputs. The paid version gave him that control. I had almost the exact same experience. The Roth Conversion tools, the Social Security Planner, the Quick Swap Scenario Builder, all of it makes Boldin NewRetirement feel like a pro-level tool built for real people. Now compare that to what I found digging into Pralana. One review in particular stuck with me. One user said that when running the Roth optimizer, it sometimes spits out negative conversion values, which, as he pointed out, is obviously not legal. That's not just a bug, that could lead to seriously flawed outcomes. And that wasn't the only issue I came across. Another Pralana user posted about their Monte Carlo simulations and said the first year of returns always showed an odd dip. The results normalized after, but the first step always dropped like the software was just assuming a horrible year out of nowhere. It's like the algorithm was built with, I think, pessimism like hard-coded into year 1, and nobody really explained why. So based on what I've seen and tested myself, the difference in Boldin and Pralana reviews isn't just in tone, it's in reliability. Now, if you're anything like me, the features are where the decision gets made. I didn't choose Boldin just because of the reviews, I chose it because it gave me the tools I actually needed. Let's start with Boldin's Monte Carlo analysis. I've tested a few planners that claim to do this, but most of them barely scratch the surface. Boldin's version, I think, uses a real standard deviation model to simulate returns monthly, so you're not just seeing straight line growth, you're seeing the swings. And not just random ones either. The variance actually reflects the kind of asset class that you're projecting. So, for example, if your expected return is 10% and it assumes risk profiles like growth stocks, it feels a lot more like market reality, I think. Compare that to Pralana's Monte Carlo simulation issue I mentioned earlier. That user said the first year always shows an unexplained drop. I've run dozens of simulations in Boldin, never had that issue. You don't want your planning tool inserting hidden assumptions into the data. And here's why Boldin really starts pulling away from Pralana for me, and that's better rates. So they rolled this out recently, and it changed how I built my plan. Instead of just guessing low, high growth estimates, you can select from presets like conservative, moderate, or aggressive, and it backs those with actual historical data. It sounds like a small thing, but it completely reframed how I approach long-term returns. And there's also a new feature I've started using recently, financial wellness metrics. Now, I didn't think I needed this until I saw what it showed me. It's pretty much a snapshot of your financial health, not just like how much you have, but how resilient your plan is. I was surprised to see how close I was to falling behind in one area, even though the rest of my numbers, looked pretty solid. That insight alone let me kind of course correct way earlier. Boldin also handles something that threw me off with Pralana, and that's surplus income. Most tools don't know what to do when you make more than you spend. They just assume you'll throw the extra in savings, but Boldin actually lets you specify exactly what to do with that excess, whether it goes into a brokerage, a specific tax-advantaged account, or held in cash. That level of control is huge when you're fine-tuning a plan. Inherited IRAs, Boldin's got a tool for that now too. If you've ever had to handle that situation, especially during a tough time, you know how confusing it can be. Boldin just breaks down your options so clearly that it almost feels like a live advisor walking you through it. Then there's one of my personal favorites, the Roth Conversion Explorer. If you've ever tried timing Roth conversions manually, you know just how frustrating it gets. This tool doesn't just show you the tax impact, it lets you move sliders and instantly see how the plan shifts. I've saved myself thousands just using this to better time my conversions. Now, look, no tool is perfect, and Boldin is no exception. If I had to point out one drawback, it'd be that there's a bit of a learning curve, especially early on when I was exploring multiple scenarios. It felt like there was a lot to keep track of. But honestly, that complexity comes with the territory when you're building a retirement plan that actually reflects your life. It's not a plug-and-play app, it's a planning platform, and once you go past that initial phase, and especially after digging into the Help Center and using some of their guided walkthroughs, everything will start to click into place. And when it comes to cost, Boldin is pretty reasonably priced compared to everything that you're getting, especially when you start using tools like the Roth Conversion Explorer or the withdrawal reports. You realize how much value is packed in. For anyone comparing Pralana Gold versus NewRetirement strictly on cost, I'd say look at the bigger picture with Boldin. You're not just buying software, you're buying clarity, and clarity is pretty much priceless when you're looking for information and data that your money relies on. And it's close to retirement as well. So check the link in the description of this video for Boldin's up-to-date pricing, commission details, and their current promo. We keep the link in the description updated with Boldin's latest pricing, and if there's a promo running, you'll find it in there. So, Pralana versus Boldin. Which one actually grows your wealth? For me, Boldin stood out. It gave me the kind of control, transparency, and peace of mind that I couldn't find anywhere else. If you're comparing tools like Pralana and Boldin, that kind of confidence might be exactly what you're looking for too, so check the link in the description of this video to get started with our special Boldin discount and coupon.